He went down screaming, and the sky looked like it was bleeding fire. Pilots who survived swore they'd never heard a sound like that, a mix of terror, rage, and disbelief as a brother in arms fell from 10,000 feet, swallowed by smoke that twisted like a black flag. One moment he was cracking jokes over calms, the next he was a falling star, burning out before anyone could reach him. And in that instant, something inside the survivors snapped. This wasn't just another mission. This wasn't duty anymore. This was revenge. Raw. Violent. Personal. And nobody was walking away clean. The morning started quiet, too quiet for a war zone. Captain Mason Rattler Grant felt it the second he strapped into his cockpit. The air was heavy, the sky too still, like the world was holding its breath. Behind him, the rest of the squadron prepped their birds: Jax, Rivers, Blake, Monroe, and the loudest of them all, Leo Twitch Hanley, the guy who could talk smack even during turbulence. They were a mismatched crew, patched together from different bases, different states, but welded tight by months of missions that turned strangers into brothers. Their orders today? Simple escort run. Babysit a transport convoy through contested airspace. Should have been easy. Should have been routine. But nothing in war stays routine for long. They launched into a sky tinged orange with sunrise, engines humming like angry beasts waiting for someone to provoke them. Rattler kept his tone casual as he checked in with each pilot, but his gut felt wrong. Twitch joked, "Relax, boss, if something pops off, we'll smoke 'em before breakfast." But Rattler couldn't shake the itch crawling up his spine. Halfway to the rendezvous point, static cut across the radios. Not normal static, harsh, jagged, deliberate. Then their radar screens flickered, glitched, and died. "We're blind," Rivers muttered, voice tight. "This isn't weather. Someone's jamming us." Rattler's stomach dropped. Jammers meant hunters. Hunters meant ambush. Before he could call evasive, the clouds ahead split open like a damn curtain being ripped down. Enemy fighters poured out fast, silent, deadly. Sleek black silhouettes sliding into attack formation with precision that made the hair on Rattler's neck rise. "Contact! Contact!" Jax yelled. And the battle that would scar their souls for life began. The first missile streaked past them like a white-hot needle. The second one wasn't so merciful. It slammed into Blake's right engine with a blast that turned half his wing into a fireball. His scream tore through the calms. I'm hit, oh God," Rattler snapped, "punch out, Blake. Eject." But Blake's plane spiraled hard, coughing black smoke as flames crawled across the fuselage. "Nope, known system's dead, I can't." The last thing they heard was his voice cracking. Then a roar. Then silence. Rivers' voice trembled. "He's gone. Jesus, he's..." But there was no time to grieve. Two enemy fighters dove straight at them, guns blazing. Rattler rolled hard left, bullets slicing past his canopy like angry wasps. Twitch snapped into a spin, dropping behind one of the attackers and shredding it with a vicious burst. "That's right, you metal roach. Choke on that," he yelled, but the laughter in his voice was gone. This wasn't fun. This was survival. Jax wasn't so lucky. A burst of cannon fire tore through his tail stabilizer, and he lost control fast. His plane bucked like a wounded animal. "Rattler, I'm going down, I can't level." "Stay with me, Jax." "Pull up." "I'm trying." "It won't." His voice twisted into a scream as his aircraft flipped, caught fire, and dove toward the ocean like it was being dragged by the hands of hell. Rattler's chest felt like it was collapsing. 2 men gone in less than 60 seconds. Brothers. Gone. The remaining squad tightened formation, rage starting to boil. Twitch muttered, "Those bastards, those cold-blooded bastards." Monroe's voice was stone. "We finish this." But Rattler could feel something darker building, a storm inside them, not outside. Because the enemy wasn't finished yet. They wanted all of them dead. The enemy squadron leader made himself known with a maneuver so bold it felt like an insult. His jet sliced through their formation with a sonic snarl, forcing Rattler and Monroe apart. The plane was matte black, angular, almost predatory in the way it moved. And on its tail was a crimson insignia, a skull with wings. Twitch hissed, "That's Ghost Viper Squadron. Freakin' assassins." Ghost Vipers weren't normal pilots. They were precision killers. No mercy. No hesitation. Rattler watched the enemy leader loop around and lock onto Monroe's 6. "Break! Break! He's on you!" Monroe kicked into a brutal dive, but the Viper stayed glued to him. A perfect shadow. Then he fired. The missile hit Monroe dead center. No time to scream. No chance to eject. The explosion looked like a star dying. Twitch lost it. "I'm gonna kill that son of a..." "Stay in formation." Rattler barked, but Twitch was already diving, fueled by blind fury. He charged straight at the enemy leader, guns blazing, screaming curses like a man who'd been pushed past the edge of sanity. But Ghost Viper pilots didn't fear emotion, they exploited it. The leader juked sideways with inhuman reflexes. Twitch overshot, exposed. Rattler screamed, "Twitch, break off! Break off!" Too late. 2 Viper wingmen lit him up from both sides. His plane erupted in a blossom of orange flame. Twitch's last sound was half a laugh, half a sob. "Get that bastard for me." Then he was gone. 4 men. 4 brothers. Reduced to falling metal and burning smoke in less than 5 minutes. Rattler felt something crack inside him. Not fear. Not anger. Resolve. Deadly, ice-cold resolve. "You want to fight?" he whispered. "Fine. Let's finish this." Now it was only Rattler and Rivers against half a squadron of elite killers. The odds were a joke. But revenge has a way of making impossible things feel necessary. Rivers steadied his voice, though it shook at the edges. "Rattler, we can still pull back." "Not happening," Rattler said. "Not after what they did." Rivers breathed out slowly. "Then I'm with you. All the way." They cut hard toward the cloud bank, forcing the Ghost Vipers to chase them into tighter airspace. Rattler had a plan, a reckless, borderline insane maneuver he'd only seen in a classified test reel. If the enemy wanted them trapped, he'd use the trap against them. He dove into the clouds, letting his jet disappear into the white-out haze. Rivers followed, sensors fried, radar dead, only instinct guiding him. The Vipers entered the cloud layer seconds later, expecting easy kills. But in zero-visibility dogfights, experience doesn't matter. Hunger does. Rattler throttled down, letting the enemy overshoot. He popped behind the first Viper and shredded its tail section. A fireball rippled through the fog. "One down," he growled. Rivers nailed the second with a lucky burst that turned its wing into confetti. 2. But the victory was short-lived. The Ghost Viper leader burst out of the clouds like a demon, firing the second he had visual. Rivers took the hit straight to his left fuselage. His cockpit filled with alarms and smoke. "Rattler, I'm hit, I'm..." "Eject." "It's jammed, damn it, it's..." His plane burst into flames and spiraled away, leaving a trail of burning fuel that carved a scar across the sky. Rivers was gone. Only Rattler remained. And the Ghost Viper leader was circling back for the kill. The sky was empty now, just 2 predators circling each other, engines snarling, smoke trails hanging like ghosts. Rattler steadied his breath, hands tightening on the controls. The Viper leader wasn't rushing. He was savoring this, like a hunter toying with wounded prey. Rattler snarled into the mic, even though the enemy couldn't hear him. "Come on then, you coward. Let's dance." The Viper came in from above, firing short controlled bursts. Rattler rolled, flipped, countered, every maneuver pushing his aircraft harder than it was ever designed to endure. G-forces crushed his chest, blurred his vision, but adrenaline refused to let him black out. They dove toward the ocean, engines howling as they sliced through air that vibrated with rage. The Viper fired again. A burst ripped across Rattler's left wing, tearing off a chunk of metal. Smoke spiraled from his engine. He ignored it. Pain meant nothing. Fear meant nothing. This was for Blake. For Monroe. For Jax. For Rivers. For Twitch. For every scream he'd heard echo in his headset. He pitched upward at the last possible second, pulling a maneuver so sharp it nearly ripped his wings off. The Viper leader expected a climb, so he climbed too. Wrong move. Rattler stalled on purpose, letting gravity yank him backward. His jet flipped, dropping him behind the enemy for half a heartbeat. It was all he needed. He fired. A perfect hit, flames erupted from the Viper's engine. But the enemy wasn't done. Instead of ejecting, he turned his dying plane into a weapon, diving straight at Rattler in a suicide charge. Rattler's eyes widened. You gotta be kidding me. The two burning aircraft hurtled at each other like meteors. Rattler yanked his stick left, then right, pushing his jet so hard the frame screamed like metal in agony. The enemy's suicide dive came within a hair of smashing him head-on. The shockwave rattled his bones as the Viper exploded past him, slamming into the ocean in a tower of steam and fire. Rattler gasped for air, but anything like relief was short-lived. His own jet was dying. Warning lights flashed across the console like a Christmas tree in hell. Fuel leaking. Hydraulics compromised. Engine temperature critical. He was 5 minutes from catastrophic failure. He turned back toward base, or what was left of it. Smoke still hung over the route where his squadron had fallen. He could almost see their silhouettes in the clouds. Blake laughing. Monroe rolling his eyes. Jax humming off-key. Twitch calling everyone scrubs. Rivers fixing his gloves like a ritual. If ghosts were real, they were flying beside him now. Halfway home, the sky flickered, enemy reinforcements inbound. 2 more fighters heading straight for him. Rattler whispered, "Not today. Not after everything." But his jet was cooked. It could barely climb, let alone fight. He scanned the terrain and spotted a canyon ahead, narrow, jagged, twisting like a serpent. If he could pull them in, maybe he could end this his way. Maybe he could make sure his brothers didn't die for nothing. With the last strength of his engine, he dove into the canyon. The enemy followed. Walls rushed past his wings so close they almost scraped paint. Rattler gritted his teeth as alarms wailed. The enemy closed in. He had 1 shot left. One final gamble. "Come on," he muttered. Closer, closer. At the last turn of the canyon, Rattler pulled the dirtiest trick in the book, a brutal engine cut. His jet dropped like a stone, the sudden loss of speed forcing the enemy fighters to overshoot. They burst past him by inches, suddenly exposed, momentum carrying them forward. Rattler reignited the engine, it coughed, sputtered, but roared back to life just long enough. He fired everything he had left. The first enemy jet exploded instantly, a fireball that lit up the canyon walls. The second veered hard, trying to escape, but clipped a rock face and shattered into debris that rained down like burning hail. Silence slammed into the canyon as the smoke drifted. Rattler was alone again. His jet failing. His body numb. His heart broken. But he was alive. He banked upward, struggling to lift the dying aircraft over the canyon lip. The engine gave one last cough, then died completely. The jet began to fall. Rattler pulled the eject lever, it jammed. He slammed it again. Nothing. Sparks flew from the console. "Come on. Don't do this to me now." On the third pull, the seat rocketed upward, blasting him out of the cockpit just seconds before the jet smashed into the ground in a firestorm. The parachute deployed. Rattler drifted down, shaking, battered, but breathing. When he hit the ground, he collapsed onto his knees, staring at the flames burning below. 8 of them went into that battle. Only 1 walked away. But he wasn't done yet. Because surviving was only the beginning. Telling the world what happened, making sure their names weren't forgotten, that was the real mission now. Rattler was rescued 2 hours later, dehydrated, bruised, barely conscious. But when he woke in the med bay and saw the empty chairs where his squad should have been, reality hit harder than any missile. The war would go on. Missions would continue. Planes would fly. But those men, Blake, Monroe, Jax, Rivers, Twitch, they weren't just casualties. They were stories. Lives. Legends. Heroes who went down fighting when the sky turned into a graveyard. And Rattler knew their final screams, their final breaths, wouldn't fade into silence as long as he lived. He testified. He gave every detail. He made damn sure the world knew exactly what happened in that cursed stretch of sky. And their families? They didn't get closure is a lie, but they got truth. And truth, in war, is a rare gift. Rattler visited their names carved into the memorial months later. 5 names. 5 shadows behind his eyes. He placed his flight patch beneath them. The wind tore at his jacket, carrying the faint smell of jet fuel, a reminder of where he came from and what he survived. He whispered, "You didn't go down for nothing. I swear it." And he walked away knowing one thing. Heroes don't always make it home. But real heroes never disappear. They become the smoke that shapes the sky. They become the fire that lights the next generation. They become the reason others stand up and fight. And their stories? That's what keeps them alive. If you felt this story, if it hit you, if it made you feel the weight of sacrifice, the cost of duty, and the fire of American courage, backhand index pointing right, hit that like button. Backhand index pointing right, drop a comment for the fallen. Backhand index pointing right, smash subscribe. Backhand index pointing right, share this video so their legacy spreads. This is Xtreme USA, where stories of heroism never die, and where we honor every warrior who gave everything they had.